Hello everyone in YouTube land. Red Alert here, bringing you another video. Today I'll be reviewing. Today I'll be showing you my mashup of the Loud House and the Transformers. But before I start, be sure to like my video, add notifications, and And don't forget to follow me on YouTube. Alright, let's get started. Now, when I first watched The Loud House, I thought it was kind of boring and lame back in 2020 in 2016. But later, about last year or 2019, I started to like this show. I liked all the characters in the Loud House. My favorite Loud House characters were Lincoln Loud, Lynn Loud, Lucy, Leni, and especially Luna. Luna is my favorite character because she loves loud music and she is the first bisexual character in Nickelodeon. At least I think she is. And since this new Loud House movie will be coming soon this summer, I thought I'd make a video about it. And I love Transformers. Transformers and the Loud House are my two favorite franchises, and I smashed them up all together. And today I'm gonna be telling you a story I made up with the Loud House and Transformers. But this is gonna be a long video, so I hope you enjoy. What I have right here are the Loud family, and I'm gonna go through them one by one, tell them the origins of them, starting with Lincoln Loud. Lincoln Loud, 12 years old and 12 years old, and he was once a fellow Velocitronian on the planet Velocitron. He was a big fan of races and sportsmanship and racing, especially comics. But when the war came out and the Decepticons invaded Velocitron and infected the planet with cosmic rust, most of the Velocitronians, including the Autobot Fat Speedster Blur and Lincoln Loud, escaped the planet and moved into Cybertron. Lincoln tries to avoid the Decepticon war, the Autobot and Decepticon Civil War, so he hide in praxis, waiting for the right time to start. Lisa Loud, now a Lisa Loud, a scientist, and her experiments usually blow up in her face, and tries to improve her experiments to Wheeljack and Perceptor, but they refused her experimentations and her science. So she went So she so she went go on her so she went on her own, trying to find a way to end the Autobot and Decepticon war by doing one of her experiments by trying to go back in time and to prevent it, but nothing worked. Lucy Loud, an emo Cybertronian, and shared the same body mold as Flame War, a failed clone of RC. She Lucy Loud didn't quite care about the Autobot and Decepticon war, so she tries, but trying to find ways to enjoy her last moments of trying to avoid the war at Torrin Hazard Gate. The twins, Lana Loud and Lola Loud. These two weren't always attached to each other like Rack and Ruin. These two were twins, and they were Lola Loud member of was once a member of the Wreckers, repairing bots and other ships, while Lola Loud stays behind at the Wreckers. Lola, as for her twin sister Lola, tries to communicate, help the Wreckers in their missions. But then one day, Lola and Lana Loud were on patrol until they were captured by Shockwave and got both experimented on them, and they were attached to each other forever. And they're trying to work together to avoid this curse. And Lana is good with pets, even has pet animals in her chest. Frogs and snakes. And bunnies. Luna Loud, former a rogue band player, and in love with three people, Auto Jazz, and Sam. But when the Autobot Civil War came, Luna quit the band and tried to go solo, trying to avoid the war by playing music. And her top favorite song he played was "Play It Loud." Luan Loud, a chameleon, tried to make everybody laugh, but all she does was make a bad crowd. Even working in McAdam's old oil house didn't make games any better. But some of the jokes she plays were funny, but not all the time. But when the war came, she tries she tries she became a Bowser Bowser in McAdam's old oil house, making sure no one starts a fight in McAdam's old oil house. But then she was taken captured by Decepticon forces and put in prison in Kaon prison. Lily Loud, a oh, firstborn in the first awoken in the war, she became confused and worried, didn't know what was going on. She even shared the same body type as Bumblebee and Cliffjumper. But then Lincoln Loud found her and took her in, and together tried they worked together to avoid the conflict. Lincoln and Lily may have argued with each other. Even Lily made a couple of little potty accidents, but they worked together and make it through. Even Lily made a hammer, a tiny replica of Ultra Magnus's mighty hammer. Lynn Loud, a former sports bot, and in Kaon and Iacon, playing all she was undefeatable, always win in every game but when the Autobot and Decepticon war started, she had nowhere else to go, so she got a job at forging weapons for the Autobots. She didn't exactly work with the Autobots, but she helped with their weapons, and she shared the same model as Hot Rod. And sometimes she likes to mess them around by always making cannonballs, and usually Dutch ovens by farting and covering them with blankets or tarts. Leni Loud, not the brightest or the smartest Cybertronian, but she has a kind heart. She was once a pilot in with a pilot in with the aerial bots, but she prefers to be in vehicle mode, as in a car instead of a jet. So she decided to be a car from now on. She isn't completely dumb, but she does like shopping for clothes and other materials. And also, she's afraid of spiders. She was one day when when the war broke out, Leni was scared and didn't know what to do until she was found by Lori Loud, a former Decepticon seeker. Together they worked each other to avoid the war. Lori Loud, a former Decepticon seeker, She was stationed on on the Energon satellite, commanded by Jetfire and Starscream. But when Megatron invaded the station, Jetfire and Starscream and the other Seekers joined. So did Lori. Many battles later, she was grown entirely by Jetfire and Starscream, but mostly Starscream because of his arguing, and she didn't get enough service, and the other Decepticons don't like Lori that much because she was always on her phone and didn't care about winning the war. So Lori left the Decepticons and went solo until she found Leni. Now, and that's the story of the Loud members. Fast forward in 8 years later, all of the members, including Luan, were in prison, in Kaon prison. Until all of them were saved by Optimus, Elita 1, and Ultra Magnus, who freed them. Lincoln and Lily met the other members, and at first they didn't get along with each other. But while they were heading back to Iacon, the ship they were riding were shot down by Jetfire and Starscream. Starscream and the other Seekers. The others, they tried to fight, but most of them ran away. But except for the only ones who fought back were Lori and Luna, and the twins.